Hello students and welcome to Amrita IAS Academy. Now in this particular lecture, as presented on your screen, we are going to do a trend analysis pertaining to ancient India and art and culture. Now students, in this particular lecture, we are going to analyze the past 5-year papers, that is from 2016 to 2020, in order to understand the trends pertaining to ancient India and culture. Herein students, I would like to tell you that this particular discussion is pertaining to your mains paper, that is GS1. So let's move forward. Now students, in this particular slide, we are going to understand the trajectory of this particular lecture, wherein first of all, we'll discuss the weightage of ancient India and art and culture in the GS1 paper. Then students, we will understand the syllabus that is given to us by UPSC that needs to be covered. After that students, we are going to talk about some important books that needs to be covered as a part of your preparation. Herein students, I have added the term minimal because you need to cover certain books, but you need to keep your book list as short as possible because revision is the key for writing better answers. Apart from that students, we are going to discuss the questions that had come up in last 5 years as a part of GS1 history. And then finally students, we are going to take up one question from these previous year papers and try and answer it with the help of a model answer. I hope you have understood the trajectory. Let's move forward. Now students, first of all, let's talk about the weightage of ancient India and art and culture in GS1. Now, as you can see students, in 2016, we got 2 questions from ancient India and art and culture. When we move towards 2017, there is just 1 question. In 2018 and 2020, we can see that as many as 3 to 4 questions have come up from this particular segment. So from this, what we can analyze? We can analyze that there is no fixed idea as to what will be the distribution of these questions, and hence we need to be thoroughly prepared because we can expect minimum of 2 questions and maximum of 4 to 5 questions from art and culture in ancient India, and hence this particular aspect becomes of immense importance. Next students, we are going to talk about the syllabus of ancient India and art and culture. Firstly, we will discuss the syllabus of art and culture. Now students, as per the syllabus that is given on your UPSC website, it clearly states that the Indian culture will encompass the salient features of literature, art forms and architecture from ancient to modern times. Herein students, I would like to tell you that your major focus should be on ancient and medieval time period, as from the modern times we get comparatively less questions. Alright, so ancient and medieval should be tackled with first, and then we move towards the modern literature or modern art forms. Now let's elaborate these particular topics. Now students, as a part of art and culture, when we talk about literature, it includes all the Indian languages, that is the major languages, and the literature that was composed as a part of these languages. Now, as I've already told you guys, you should focus on the ancient and medieval literature first, and then we can have a look towards the regional literature as well. Now students, when we talk about literature, it will be very important for you guys to also tackle the accounts that were left by foreign travelers. So foreign travelers were basically those people who had visited India during the reigns of different rulers, and they have left important accounts that serve as a prominent source of history, and that is why from UPSC perspective, particularly from mains perspective, these particular travelers' accounts will be very important. After languages and literature students, another important topic will be the schools of philosophy and some scientific developments in India. Now students, if I tell you, the part of philosophy and scientific development is also something that can be incorporated as a sub part of literature. Why? Because These philosophical movements or scientific developments are something that can be captured by us via the literature that was produced. Alright, so you have to thoroughly cover the philosophical schools in India, any other socio-religious movements and important scientific developments that had happened as a part of ancient and medieval India. Apart from the students, as a part of art forms, this includes the Indian paintings. Now again students, as I have told you, you need to focus first on the ancient and medieval period particularly. Now as you know, in ancient India and medieval India, different types of paintings were created. For instance, students, the very first symbol or very first example of Indian paintings is found in the Paleolithic period in the form of rock art. Then we have different traditions of painting. When we reach the medieval period, we have the Mughal school of painting, we have miniature paintings, we have regional schools of paintings, etc. So you need to cover this aspect in order to create a good answer. As a part of art form students, we also have the sculptures that were created in India. I'm sure you guys are thoroughly aware about the famous schools, that is Mathura and Gandhara School of Art, that were known for creating sculptures depicting the different faiths of our country. So here in students, again you will focus more on ancient sculptures. We have Harappan sculptures, we have Mathura Gandhara School of Art, we have bronze images, etc., which will be prominent and they are definitely a part of your syllabus. Next students, when we talk about the architecture, in architecture students in India, the type of architecture that we find in the ancient and medieval period encompasses different types of temples or monasteries or stupa. Then we have monuments, particularly monuments that were created during the medieval Indian period, during the Delhi Sultanate or during the Mughal period. Students, you also need to cover architecture of some prominent cities. Why? Let's say we can take an example of the Harappan civilization. Now students, in Harappan civilization, we know that town planning was a very important feature and this is also incorporated in the architecture segment, and these kind of questions have already been asked in the past year papers. Okay, so cities and town planning is also a prominent part that you need to cover as a part of your art and culture syllabus. Apart from the students, as a part of your culture syllabus, you will also cover the different socio-religious movements that had occurred in our country from ancient to medieval times. Here in students, I'm sure all of you are aware of the very famous Bhakti and Sufi movements that had happened during the early medieval and medieval period. Apart from this, we had other kinds of religious movements as well, such as the Lingayat or Veershaiva movement, etc. So all these things are a part of culture and these needs to be covered in a comprehensive manner. Now students, let's jump to another aspect, that is ancient India, and try and understand what kind of topics will be included in ancient India. Here in students, before starting, I would like to tell you that UPSC specifically does not give a tabular data or list of contents when it comes to ancient India in the mains examination. However, students, from the past trends, we can identify some important topics that are recurrent in nature on which we can find questions. Okay. Now here in students, these are some of the most important topics that should be covered in order to answer different types of questions that are asked as a part of your GS1 paper. First of all, students, you should know that the time period for ancient Indian history will be between 3000 BC to 1100 AD. In this time period, students, many civilizations came up, many dynasties came up and ended, and we need to capture those particular dynasties. First of all, students, we are going to understand about the prehistoric cultures in India. That is, we are going to learn about the Paleolithic, Mesolithic and Neolithic period. Now here in students, you don't find a lot of questions particularly about the stone tool technology, etc. But in the prehistoric culture, the art is something that is very, very important from the GS1 perspective. Then students, we have two most important topics, that is Indus civilization and the Vedic period, which serve as a very important part both in ancient India and the art and culture section. The texts that were produced as a part of Vedic period will be incorporated in the literature section of art and culture, whereas all the kinds of sculptures, the religion, society and town planning of Indus Valley civilization is very important from your GS1 perspective. Apart from the students, we have state formation and urbanization, particularly the Mahajanapadas that were a part of your ancient Indian history. So you need to know a little bit about these Mahajanapadas as well. Next students, we have the heterodox religions, that is Jainism and Buddhism, that had developed to counter the Brahmanical religion in our country. So all the aspects, the philosophy of Jainism and Buddhism, the art that was created as a part of these religions, the texts that were created as a part of these religions will be of very much importance. Next students, we have one of the biggest empires that were created as a part of ancient Indian history, that is the Mauryan Empire. So you need to know the contributions of all the rulers who were the part of Mauryan Empire. You need to know the ideology of Ashoka, his Dhamma policy, the architecture that was created under Ashoka, etc. Apart from that, students, we have the post-Mauryan period wherein a lot of dynasties emerged. We have the Nanda dynasty, we have the Shunga dynasty, etc. So some contributions given by them as a part of the ancient Indian period. Then students, when we talk about South India particularly, we had the Sangam age wherein the Sangam literature was composed. It is important again from the perspective of ancient India as well as from the perspective of art and culture. You need to know the contents of Sangam literature. You need to know who patronized these Sangam meetings, etc. Then students, we have the very famous Gupta dynasty. Each and every aspect of Gupta dynasty is important from GS1 perspective. As you can see in previous years, almost every alternate year we find one question from Gupta dynasty. So you have to cover all the aspects of it. Then students, we have the post-Gupta period and the early medieval India. Now students, after the disintegration of Gupta dynasty, many regional dynasties had sprung up. There were many dynasties. We had Palas, we had Gurjara Pratiharas in when we talk about North India or East India. In South India, we had many other dynasties such as the Rashtrakutas, etc. So you have to cover parts of these dynasties, important rulers, the kind of architecture that was created as a part of these dynasties, what kind of texts were composed, etc. Okay, so this is by and large the major syllabus, major chunk of syllabus that should be covered as a part of your ancient India and art and culture syllabus for your GS1 means examination. Now after the students, let's talk about the book list which will be important for you guys when we talk about art and culture and ancient India. Now here in students, first let's talk about the precise book list for art and culture. Now students, in art and culture, or in fact when we talk about any subject which we can encounter as a part of our UPSC syllabus, there is a category in which we can divide our book lists. This includes some books that will be basic in nature. Then students, there are certain books that are little bit advanced in nature. By advanced, we mean that the language might be a bit difficult or they contain more data as compared to the basic books. Now students, basic books create your initial foundation and hence we definitely need to cover it. When we come towards the advanced material, students, there are many books pertaining to any particular topic or any particular subject. So you might choose one or two important advanced books and skip the rest so that you have ample time for revision. Apart from that, students, we have value added material. Now students, what is value added material? Value added material encompasses those facts which are not found in your basic and advanced books. Supposedly, you're tackling a particular book on ancient India. Now, it might not give you a good introduction or a good detail about the early medieval India, or let's say the southern dynasties. And that is why sometimes we pick up value added material, let's say the coaching material given by Amrita IAS, to enhance those portions which are not found as a part of this basic and advanced books. Okay. Now, as I've just told you, we are going to first talk about the basic or foundation books. Now, in the basic or foundation book, students, when we particularly talk about art and culture, of prominence will be the NCERT, the new NCERT of class 11th, that is known as an Introduction to Indian Art. Apart from the students, there is an amazing website by the government which is known as nios.ac.in, and it contains beautiful material with respect to your entire history portion, entire Indian history portion, and you can check that out. It will be important for art and culture as well as ancient India. Then students, we have two most important books, that is the old NCERTs of ancient India and medieval India, written by R.S. Sharma and Satish Chandra respectively. Now herein students, what I have not mentioned and I wanted to write here specifically was the new NCERTs. Students, the new NCERTs from class 6 to 12th, barring the 11th standard because it pertains world history, are very, very important from your GS1 perspective. It gives a thorough understanding. The language is very easy and you will be able to formulate ideas about the Indian history. That is why new NCERTs are a must, not just for your mains examination, but also for your prelims examination. So this will serve as your first foundation book and then you will refine your material. All right. Apart from that, students, particularly for the South Indian history, the Tamil Nadu textbooks are also good. You can refer to them and these will also serve as an important foundation book. After foundation students, we move towards the advanced books. That is those books which will contain more specific or more detailed data about these particular subjects. In this students, we have a website known as CCRT. CCRT has compiled an amazing magazine which talks about the various facets of art and culture prevailing in India. So after completing your class 11's art NCERT, you can jump to CCRT and it will give you a thorough understanding of how art and culture developed in our country. Apart from that, students, we of course have Nitin Singhania's book. So for Nitin Singhania, what you can do is any topic which is left out as a part of these NCERTs, Tamil Nadu textbook or CCRT can then be covered from Nitin Singhania. So you need not go into all the topics that are covered by Nitin Singhania, just the ones that are left out in these foundation but amazing books. Now students, in value added material, as I had already told you, this part will be something that is more important for your prelims, but I wanted to share this with you so you have a fair idea about even the MCQ questions that you'll be tackling as a part of your prelims examination. Now students, in prelims and sometimes in mains, we find some questions, or let's say a question on regional architecture that you might not find as a part of these foundation and advanced books. For that students, particularly in the Hindu newspaper, we have two magazines, that is Friday Review and the Sunday Magazine, wherein certain facets of Indian culture, art and architecture are covered, and these articles, they do not come repetitively. You can find them in some week or some another week. So if you find any kind of articles that are based on Indian culture and architecture and you feel that this will be a value addition in my answer writing, then you can definitely focus on them. Apart from that, students, you can also refer to the material that is provided by Amrita IAS. Now let's move forward, students. I am sure you guys have understood the book list. As I have told you, I am again going to re-emphasize on the fact that you need to keep your book list as short as possible. You need to focus on your foundation books, that is the NCERTs, new and old, the material from NIOS and the Tamil Nadu textbook. And then once you're thorough with these books, then only you will move forward towards the advanced books and the value added material. Now students, after understanding the weightage, the syllabus and the book list, let's jump towards the analysis of past 5-year questions from your Ancient India and Art and Culture section. Let's start from the 2020 question paper, students. As you can see, the first question was from rock cut architecture. I have told you that your first focus should be on ancient India and medieval India and the art and culture that prevailed in these two time periods, as you will find recurrent questions from this time period only. Okay. Now, the first question is about rock cut architecture, which again is incorporated in your art and culture portion. We have already discussed at length that architecture, particularly the temples, the chaityas, viharas, stupa belonging to the ancient period will be important, and they serve as a source of history. And this is the same question that has been asked here. Now, students, the next question is talking about the Pala period and how it was a significant phase of the history of Buddhism in our country. So, students, Pala period is something that will be a part of your early medieval period. So, students, as I've already mentioned to you, early medieval period, the different dynasties that had emerged as a part of this period are important. What all cultural aspects such as the architecture that was created by them, the texts that were created by them, or the art that was created by them will be important. And this particular question is reinstating the fact that these kind of aspects will be important from your GS1 perspective. Next, students, the third question that we find in 2020 is pertaining to the Indian philosophy and tradition and how it helped in shaping the monuments. So you can see how UPSC creates questions. It merges two topics with each other and asks us to write an analytical answer. So here in students, you will see that how the textual traditions in India, how the literature of India can be seen as a part of creating monuments. Okay, so this again shows that art and culture is very, very important, and all these architecture and literature aspects need to be understood, that too in an analytical manner. The fourth question, students, that we have from 2020 is again pertaining to literature, wherein we are talking about the medieval literature, that is the Persian literary sources of medieval India, and how they were helpful in understanding that time period. Okay, so literature, as I've told you, is an important part. The accounts that were left by the foreign travelers will be very, very important. The court literature will also be very, very important. What do we mean by court literature, students? Court literature is something that was produced under any particular dynasty that shows the administration, the society, or the religion that was prevalent in that time period. Okay. Now let's move forward, students. In 2019, we encountered just one question from art and culture, and that was talking about the Gandhara school of art. Students, this was a very direct and easy question, and it was talking about how there was an influence of Central Asian and Greco-Bactrian elements on the Gandhara art. It is a very direct question, and it could be easily answered if you know just 4 or 5 facts about the Gandhara school of art. When, students, we come to 2018, we see that there is this another important analytical question pertaining to art and culture. So it talks about safeguarding the Indian art heritage and how it is the need of movement, how it is the need of the moment, and we need to discuss that. So here in students, as you can see, apart from understanding the traditional syllabus, apart from talking about the traditional topics that are included in your syllabus, some current issues, that is, how do we safeguard the Indian art, how museums are important in enriching the overall environment of our country, how they are helpful in preserving our ancient art. Such kind of themes that are important even in the current segment are something that you need to cover. The second question, students, that was from 2018 is again talking about the importance of the accounts of Chinese and Arab travelers in the reconstruction of the history of India. As I have already told you, students, in literature, the accounts of foreign travelers will be very important, and this particular question reinstates the fact wherein we are directly asked that how these accounts of the Chinese travelers and the Arab travelers are helpful in understanding the history of India. So it's a very direct and easy question if you know about the literature that was created by these travelers. The third question, students, that is from 2018, is pertaining to the Bhakti movement and how the contributions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was a prominent Bhakti saint, helped in its reorientation. So students, as I've told you, socio-religious movements, particularly from medieval India, are of prominence. Bhakti and Sufi movement are favorite topics of UPSC, and you can find a lot of questions in GS1. So you will cover the important facets of Bhakti movement and Sufi movement, their ideology, the important saints that were a part, and the literature that they produced as a part of these movements. Moving on, students, in 2017, as already discussed, we encountered two questions. The first question, students, is talking about the numismatic art during the Gupta period. Now here, students, first of all, by numismatics, we mean the study of coins. So whatever art that was found on the Gupta coins is something that needs to be elaborated as a part of this particular question. The next question, students, is talking about the decline of the traditional artisanal industry during the colonial India. Now, students, this question again is very intriguing. Why? Because we need to write a blended answer talking about the time period of ancient and medieval India wherein the artisanal industry, particularly the handicraft industry, was booming, and how during the colonial period it gradually declined due to the policies that were put forward by the Britishers. Okay, so it has an aspect of art and culture. At the same time, it also forms a part of your modern Indian history. So as a part of your art and culture, you are going to give a detailed description, particularly of the medieval period wherein the handicrafts and the artisans were flourishing. Next, students, in 2016, again, we had found two questions from the art and culture period. Herein, students, the first question is pertaining to the Buddhist stupa art and how it expounds the Buddhist ideals. So again, students, it comes under the section of art and culture or art forms, wherein, students, we see that in the stupas that were created by Buddhists, we find a lot of sculptures or a lot of details that were given, and they help in understanding the Buddhist ideals. Apart from that, students, the next important question is pertaining to the reign of Krishna Deva Rai, who was a king of the Vijayanagar dynasty, and how he was an accomplished scholar and what kind of literature was produced under his reign, or what kind of literature was produced by himself. Again, students, in this question, I am going to reiterate the fact that the accounts of foreign travelers and the court literature is something that is of lot of prominence. You already in just 5 years we have found two questions on the same. So you have to cover these topics in a comprehensive manner. Okay, so in these 5-year papers, students, you can see that the questions by and large are just talking about literature, architecture, and paintings and sculptures. Hence, these four topics should be covered in detail, particularly from the ancient and medieval period. Now, moving on, students, let's come to the last aspect of this particular lecture, wherein we have taken up one question from the mains 2020 examination about the Persian literary sources and how they reflect the spirit of medieval India. And we need to comment upon this answer. Now, students, whenever we are discussing the mains questions and answers, the first and foremost important thing that you should note is that what kind of directive is given in the question. By directive, students, I mean words such as comment, elucidate, discuss, describe, etc. Okay. So now, students, every directive has a different connotation, and your answer writing will depend on that directive. For instance, in this particular question, we have been asked to comment on the above statement. Now, whenever, students, the term comment comes, it automatically implies that you need to give your own suggestions. You need to incorporate your own beliefs as a part of the conclusion of the answer. Okay, you will show to the examiner that how Persian literary sources were reflecting the spirit of the age, or were they not reflecting the spirit of the age. So it's kind of a yes or no answer reflecting your ideology, your ideas pertaining to the statement. Okay. Now here students, as we already know, the question when particularly it comes to history is divided clearly into an introduction, body and conclusion. Now there are many ways to write an answer. It can be enhanced by means of flowcharts, by means of diagrams, etc. In history particularly, flowcharts and the bold points are a method that can enhance your answer overall, particularly in the body section. Now students, when we talk about this particular question, we have to focus on the Persian literary sources. So as a part of your introduction, what you will do is that you will emphasize first of all on the language Persian and how it was very prominent during the medieval Indian period. Now students, as a part of it, what you can tell to the examiner is that Persian was a language that was introduced during the coming of Turks and Mongols to India. So students, when the Muslim invasion started in our country, at that point of time, Persian was introduced. Apart from the students, another important point that you can write to enhance your introduction is that Persian remained as the court language for many centuries. That is students, all kind of documents and literature that was produced during the medieval India was mostly in Persian language because it was also the court language. Also students, you can also point out the contributions done by the different travelers, court poets and even rulers who have written in the Persian language. Okay. So apart from your introduction students, when you talk about the body, in the introduction, you can just write down the prominence or the importance of Persian language, how it was a court language, etc. And in the body, you will elaborate these contributions. That is, if you know the names of 4 or 5 Persian texts and the main topics that were incorporated as a part of these texts, then you can elaborate them. And this should be enough to make the examiner understand that you understand the Persian literature, the topics that were dealt as a part of these sources and how they help us in understanding the medieval Indian history. So here in students, as presented on your screen, I have given you some examples from medieval India which were written in the Persian language. These include the Kitabul Hind written by Al-Biruni. Then we have important Persian poets such as Amir Khusrau and Amir Hasan Delvi who had written amazing poetry in the Persian language. Also students, we have many historians and travelers who have left detailed accounts of medieval India in Persian language such as Minhas ut-Siraj, Zia Barni and Ibn Battuta. Now students, these particular accounts are of very importance because they talk about the political events, the administration during the medieval India, etc. Also students, an intriguing point here to mention would be that the famous Mughal ruler, that is Jahangir, had written his autobiography in the Persian language known as Tuzuki Jahangiri, and this also serves as a prominent historical source, thus reflecting the spirit of the age. Then students, we have another important Persian writer such as Abul Fazl. Also students, there was a genre under Mughal literature, that is a genre of letter writing which was known as Insha, and this was also written in Persian. And all these texts, all these literary sources are something that are talking about some aspect during the medieval India, thus reflecting the spirit of the age. And this is something that you are going to mention as a part of your conclusion as well. That is, you are going to arrive at a positive or neutral conclusion. Students, I would like to recommend you that whenever we have a comment type of directive, the best way to answer that question is to have a neutral stand. Don't give a very direct or specific conclusion. Okay, so herein we have a neutral conclusion that yes, all these sources help us in understanding the medieval period, the kind of administration, society and religion that was there during the medieval period, and hence we can say that these literary sources were helpful in reflecting the spirit of the medieval Indian period. So from this students, I hope you have understood that how we create an answer for a particular question. First of all, we identify the keywords such as Persian literary sources and medieval India. We see that what kind of directive is given. For instance, if comment is given, we have to arrive at a conclusion saying a yes or a no. And then students, from the help of these keywords, we define our introduction. We elaborate those keywords as a part of our body, and finally we arrive at a neutral or positive conclusion. So students, with this, I have completed my discussion on the trend analysis. As a part of a quick recap, I would like to tell you that keep your book list very minimal. The recurrent themes include literature, architecture, paintings, and sculptures. You have to focus on the ancient and medieval period, and students, revision is the key. The more you revise, the better answers you can produce. Thank you so much for joining me.